All right, so with our handsome Mr. M, ready, Max? Max is like, I found a snack, but it got stuck in my jowl. There you go. So just like with our usuals, I like to warm up with these lovely Find Its like I do with most of the babes. So again, great way to get him orienting back to you from the environment. Oh my goodness, chewing is still a hazard when walking. There you go, good job, Sarah. So with our handsome guy, I know you guys are mentioning that you'd love to have more focus on you versus the environment, getting engagement and getting him to kind of hang out and be near you. So I would recommend practice some of these like orientation or orbiting around you from the environment, even at home, in the house and outside. So I know we dived into some ways to help both the beauties while I was working with Mr. R. So remember that even though it's not your gorgeous guy or gal being videotaped, I always do recommend try to have, sometimes a moment to watch the other students' content, because even though your babe might be working a certain skill, you might have something that you would say, hey, you know what, we would like to work on that too. And maybe one of the gorgeous guys has already done it today in the classroom. So for lovely Mr. M over here, as we're practicing, I'm feeding for all these lovely moments near me. So he starts to build up that being near the handler, again, has that value, which we've been practicing from the last few weeks as well. So, and I know he missed out on one of the days because there was an emergency with his other older sibling. So this is great that now he was able to even bounce back this quickly from taking a little breather in between the session. Yes. So for Mr. M, I'm getting him to feel that there's a really great value in moving from the environment back to me. So with the handsome guy, you can see that obviously everybody's panting a little bit, and it's a bit of a warmer day. We do, of course, have the AC rocking, but there's going to be moments where, of course, they're wearing their lovely fur coats, which means that at times they're getting a little warmer than me, maybe even I am. But I do have it set with the AC on for the babes. But remember, sometimes that panting is, again, the only way your gorgeous guys or gals can release heat. So puppies do sweat, but it's through their pads, and it's not because they're actually hot. They normally will sweat from their pads as a stress signal when they're really overwhelmed. So if you ever see sweaty paw prints, it's your pup is really having a hard time with the setup, the environment, or whatever might be going on around them. Nice job. So with Mr. Handsome, Mr. M, I dropped that bad boy. But let's say anytime he's near my leg, I want to feed for this lovely moment by my side. So remember, we could create this into a game where he's being focused on me for a moment. He's like, where'd it go? And if he loses it, I'll do another one. Ready, find it? So the benefit of tossing food and then having your puppy reorient back to you is you make it fun and more engaging to move away and then come back. So for a lot of puppies, the world can be much more intriguing than what we have to offer at times. So view it almost like learning his basics before hoping to have this happen in the real world dynamic. So right here, he's doing a really nice job. And I'll feed for this. Gorgeous. So again, we'll toss in a little snack away, and maybe we'll warm up with a little Max. Come. Yes. So remember, the YES is, so again, yes, is marking the moment whatever your puppy did was correct. And normally it's tending to be, here comes your paycheck in the form of food. If you want to tell him what a good boy he is and how well he's doing with something, that's perfectly fine. But don't use that as a way to sometimes feed and sometimes not, because then he might get confused. Why was I getting a reinforcement for that moment and not this one? So I like to use the YES as my marker word for whatever you just did correct. Here comes your paycheck in the form of food. So sometimes you can have different types of slogans, but I would keep it just easy peasy and whatever works for you guys. So right here, this is beautiful. Yes. So I'm going to probably work a few more little recalls with the handsome guy as well. So I'm going to send the food away. And then Max, come. Yes. Nice job, sir. So remember with those recalls, you do want to be careful that you're not making recalls the end of fun. So because if, let's say, recalls equal the end of fun, I think Rocky is trying to play with Kiva, but Kiva's in her own little bubble too because they were taking little breaks. But she's like, what is up with that wild man? So again, we're sending him away, though of course he got distracted by another crumb. Max, come. Yes. But remember, make sure rules do not be, recall rules to remember are don't make recalls the end of the fun or the end of the game. So if every time I call my puppy, we're going back into the house, then guess what? Recalls equal the end of fun. So I want them to think that coming to you or checking in from the environment has value. So right here, yes. So even though I'm blabbing and I don't always get to say his name and then the come, he's still doing a really nice job participating in coming into my space and working the how-to, even if I don't always get to call. So right here, yes. What a good boy. So again, I might send him away with another little find it. He's like, that was way too far. He's getting tired. Ready? So we'll do another one, find it. And then from here, Max, come. Yes. Sometimes you can also jackpot a moment. So I like to feed sometimes several little crumbs to create a lot of value in coming into my space. Another thing that you guys may want to work on is when he is sometimes practicing coming into your bubble. I know for a lot of the pups, going and grabbing for gear, grabbing for the harness or the collar can sometimes be a little overwhelming. If your babe already finds equipment hard or challenging, or they find that you reaching for them is overwhelming, I would recommend to take a peek-see over some of the resources that were sent along prior, because there are some really nice ones on doing some harness practice, so they're not either munching or trying to eat the harness as you're getting it on. But also if your puppy's feeling uncomfortable with certain things, definitely looking into some of the cooperative care options is really beneficial for down the road. So, but I like to also practice, like, for example, a gotcha. So gotcha, for example, and of course he just moved the bowl and Max is like, what the heck? So if Max gets a little bit unsure, I'm going to do a little find it just to make it fun. Oh, I love that he's actually trying to play with the bowl right now. Rocky's like, that bowl is wiggly. He has one of the slow feed bowls and he's trying to like move it and pick it up to move some of the snacks. So with a gotcha behavior, I would want to have my puppy feel comfortable with me reaching. So I might go and reach towards the pup and then feed for that. So if, let's say, reaching becomes overwhelming, I don't want it to be the full spectrum where I'm reaching, grabbing, and now I've got a hold of him. I want him to think that when I go to reach for him, it's not confrontational. It's not you're in trouble. It's not that I'm trying to be scary. So I like to, for example, practice moving towards him and then feed for that. And then I don't know if we can see him as well, so maybe I'll move a little closer. And of course, he didn't notice my snack. So let's say I'm working with him right here. He's a smaller gentleman, so I'm going to get low with him. So if I go to reach and then yes to feed. And I'm not even making contact yet. I just want him to see the hand motion is not stressful or overwhelming. So what we're trying to do is then practice gotcha, which is where you go to grab, and some people call it collar or whatever slogan you want. I want Mr. M, and I'm just feeding him for being adorable and sitting next to me. He's like, Lydia, I want all of it. So let's say again, I reach, and again, yes to feed. He's like, I'm going to give you a high five. So again, I might go gotcha, and I grab his gear, and I feed him for that. But notice how he's like, ugh. So if he doesn't love the concept, start slow. But I'd want him to start practicing that when you go to reach, right there, yes, nothing bad. Again, reach, and then yes. And again, reach, yes. And then we pair again the little reach with the grab, and I'm feeding. And so that way, Mr. M, when I go to reach for his gear, it equals something good. It shouldn't be confrontational or spooky. So again, I'm going to reach and then yes. And again, a little reach. He's like, lady, feed them all to me. Right here. And I'm going to go gotcha and sort of go for grabbing for the gear right here and then feed. So I just kind of wiggle it and hold him a little bit as I'm feeding him. And so that way, if let's say you went and the only time you reach for him is to grab him and leash him up, or you reach for him and you bring him inside, or you reach for him because he's getting into something you don't love, then grabbing him becomes sort of spooky, or the beginning stages of something overwhelming or negative. So we want to make sure that grabbing for equipment is benign, comfortable, easy, and non-threatening. So right there, that was beautiful for Mr. Handsome. So we'll do a little bit with some more of this loose leash walking for a moment, and then we'll go into working a few other little skills. I love that he's got a little piece of cheese stuck in his beard right now, so he's going to save that one for later. Or maybe his girlfriend Kiva might come help clean his little beard. How handsome. But Mr. M, oh, and of course it just fell right out now, so maybe someone else will eat it off the floor. But you can see I have the choo-choo train going by, the other pupperoos are doing their own thing in their little sections, and Mr. M is doing a splendid job honing in on me versus the environment. So again, as you're practicing, you might even find that a little front behavior could be beneficial. So front, again, we were sort of diving into this in class too. is let's say your puppy is moving along and they're next to you or a little bit ahead. Oh my goodness, you're having a good time. So those sneezes that he's giving me means he's really excited and he wants to either play with me or he's engaging with me and he likes what we're doing. So the little sneezes and snuffs means they're very excited. So he's doing a good job. He's like, lady, just keep it coming. So for front, this could be a great way to bring your puppy into the front of your body versus noticing something up ahead, getting engagement for you versus the environment. So in the beginning, whenever I start working with fronts, and they don't have to be in a sitting position instantly, is I like to have the puppy already in front of me. He's like, how about a sit? So I'm just going to feed him for that because he's doing such a good job. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go front, and as he moves into my space, I feed him. So again, he's like, lady, front and feed. So if he's a little bit too far away, we'll move him over here. I'm going to go front. And so I'm moving him into the front of my body and I'm feeding several snacks as he comes into my space. The benefit of this is, let's say there's a distraction up ahead and we're walking and oh gosh, there's that squirrel. I could go front and then I could move him into the front of me. Then I could get some, he's like, lady, I'm so excited. Then we could get these little check-ins where we might get a little look from Mr. M and then feed for that. So you can kind of build in these other exercises that he's been using in other moments and start to create little sentences of behavior. So again, we might go into another little find it, just get him up and wiggling. Mr. M is doing splendid, by the way. And then from here, he's like, oh, you found the crumb he missed. Nice check-in. So I'm gonna, oh my goodness, chewing and walking. Everybody has a hard time with the chewing factor. Oh, did you get it? Oh my goodness, there it comes. You got it? Oh my gosh. So we'll get him up and wiggling. He's like, nope, still hanging on there. Oh my goodness, let it out. It's better the second time around. You know, you got it all squishy and you just gobble it up. Yes. So the benefit of, again, rotating through a few different little skills is you can start to create little moments where, as opposed to only doing one behavior, you have several different things you can rely on to help your puppy be more successful. So the more little things they can do and feel comfortable doing, the more you have an outlet to replace something you don't love with something you prefer. So if we don't love jumping on company, but he loves doing a pause up, or he likes stepping up onto something, or he likes to go targeting, or he likes to go find things like find it's, then you can replace the pummeling of grandma with instead go do this behavior instead until noticing grandma's here equals more calm or more comfortable and less of the jumping or the mouthing. So, but I do find that a lot of times we tend to just want to get rid of things we don't like. But remember that a lot of times that's the only way your dog can communicate maybe how they're feeling or what they're struggling with. So a lot of times view behavior as communication, not right or wrong, because I know we've dived into this prior. Dogs are amoral and they don't understand this concept of good or bad or right or wrong. They either understand I'm safe or unsafe. And then when they're unsafe, that's when those F's come out. So you have your flight to get out of there, which most dogs can't do because they're attached to leashes, stuck behind fences in a home. And so if flight is out of the option, then it might be fidget, fawn, freeze, and then fight. So I'm not saying fight always turns into biting and grabbing of the thing, but it could be growling, snapping, getting overwhelmed. So remember, we don't want to correct when the pup is saying, I'm scared or overwhelmed, but think, why is this happening? And then how could I bring my puppy back into feeling safer and then help them feel more comfortable around something that we might be working on? Nice. Good job, Max. Ready? So we're doing a really nice job doing some of this lovely loose leash walk-in with, again, no gear for now, because a lot of times I find a lot of my students rely heavily on equipment, and I prefer to almost practice as if they don't have gear on. So your leash and your long training leashes are all there for safety reasons, so your puppy can't get away from you or if they don't have a recall yet. But if we're expecting gorgeous behavior without getting to practice it first in a calmer environment, it's almost, again, like I mentioned prior with Mr. R, you can't go up on stage and attempt to do some beautiful salsa dancing if you've never practiced before in the studio or at home. So with this handsome guy, if we're expecting amazing focus out in the real world, but he can barely focus in the kitchen or his own backyard, those are the places I would start with first. So those are your classroom environments. So we got a little itch. Nice. We'll do a little find it. So, but we'll give our gorgeous little Mr. M a little, burping, a little breather from some of these skills. I want to see if he can work a little bit with some stays as well. I know his BFF next door just worked a little bit with it, but I want to see if we can work a little bit with that bed and the target. I'm actually going to be using the bed you let me have because I know you had mentioned it was a lot smaller than you were thinking, but I think it'll be just fine for practice sake for today. So we'll give our little Mr. M a little breather. He's doing stellar, huh, handsome guy, and we'll work a few stays.